Jamie Dimon, I asked him this question in the last earnings call. I said, Jamie, who's your successor? And he didn't give much of an answer. And
He's been doing that for 10 years.
Well, then I finally said, so are you going to be around for a few more years? He said, yes. So I think when you have this many moving parts, Jamie's not going anywhere in the immediate term. Having said that, there's a deep bench at JPMorgan. It could be a number of 3 or 4 different people. Marianne Lake certainly is the name that comes to the fore. Investors know her. She's held a lot of positions. But if Jamie stays on for several years, it's, we'll see what happens. No, I'll say this.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I downgraded JPMorgan when they were spending all kinds of money without telling us why they were spending it and everything else. Then I upgraded it, made it my number 1 pick after the failures from a couple of years ago. But not one investor that I've spoken with, and I've traveled a lot the last 2 months, not one investor that I've spoken with wants Jamie Dimon to leave.
Yeah.
So people want Jamie Dimon to stay right now. And so
Right.
I think he should get that message and stay. And he's
Right.
been playing for this moment. I call it re-regulation, not deregulation, re-regulation, making, more common sense regulation. And
Right.
he's going to benefit. JPMorgan's going to benefit. Why leave now? You've been waiting to go to the ball game your whole professional career. You're finally getting there. You're not going to leave before the first inning.
Get one more in.
Citi. I'm a former employee there at Citi. When I worked there, I felt like there's not a piece of business we couldn't win. What happened to Citi, and why is it now your number 1 pick?
Well, look, compared to the time you worked there was a dramatic shift last year that's underappreciated by almost everybody. They went from 5 decades of this global matrix management structure that nobody understood, and now they have 5 lines of business. They have payments, banking, markets, wealth, and consumer. But they have a CEO in charge of each. They have return targets for each. They have accountability for each one of those 5 lines of business. That's what you're playing for the next 5 to 10 years. But at the same time, they're at that flexion point of the J curve. You invest money and your profits go down. They're turning up on the other side of that J curve where those investments start to pay off and they start spending less. So you're going to see twice or maybe 3 times better efficiency improvement at Citigroup.
Right.
And return improvement at Citigroup than the other banks. And by the way, they're passing this magical line where they have single-digit returns to double-digit returns. When you do that, you go from value destruction to value creation. That is the number 1 biggest driver of bank stock performance. It's the number 1 big bank stock performer so far this year.
Right.
I think it'll be the top performer by the end of the year.